we can start.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's edition of HR Mentorship Learning Series. Tonight, we'll be looking at a topic, engaging your audience, the art of presentation and speaking with impact. And our facilitator is one of our veteran regular resources in-house here. Mrs. Rita Babala holds a Bachelor's of Science in Chemical Sciences and a Master's in Business Administration, specialization in Human Resource Management from the Lagos State University. She's a member of both the Nigerian Institute of Training and Development and Chartered Institute of Personnel Management of Nigeria. She also holds a certificate of accomplishment from Coursera on small business enterprise, Grow to Greatness. She has been a Cherry Blair mentor, a foundation set up by the wife of former British Prime Minister to help female entrepreneurs launch, manage, and grow their business within the first 6 years of starting their organization for the last 5 years. She has undergone training both in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Previously, her banking experience spans the defunct Fountain Trust Bank, Heritage Bank, GT Bank, where she was involved in relationship management and credit packaging for clients. Part of our responsibilities included identifying new market developments, majorly SMEs, and manage investment portfolios of clients. Ladies and gentlemen, Rita has been pivotal in steering the career trajectories of numerous individuals, contributing to the success of their professional aspirations. Our impact extends beyond individual career journey, as she has been instrumental in also supporting organizations in identifying and acquiring top-tier talent. In addition to all of this, Rita holds a certificate of participation in life coaching from the esteemed Coaching Academy UK, and she is the co-founder of Beacon Gate, a distinguished management and HR consulting firm, which she continues to lead with a commitment to foster organizational growth and, of course, personal development. Beacon Gate, the consulting firm, was recently recognized and awarded for the Outstanding Corporate Brand of the Year 2024 in HR practice by the iconic brand Africa, while the visionary herself, Mrs. Rita Babala, is also a recipient of the award of one of the top 10 exceptional professionals in human resource management and practice for the year 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, you are confident, and I can assure you also that we're in good company. Please, let's welcome Mrs. Rita Babala. She takes us on the topic, engaging your audience, the art of presentation and speaking with impact. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adeosun. I don't take this opportunity for granted. Honestly, I thank you for the platform to express myself and also share my knowledge. And I assure you, even the participant, that today is going to be mind-blowing. I will take them through my journey. So when we're talking about engaging your audience, one of the things I've noticed during the course of my professional experience is the fact that most of us assume that it's just so easy to do presentation. I've had a couple of people or a couple of candidates where we'll tell them to make presentation. I honestly don't know, even at senior level, if I'm trying to change my slide anyway. I'm trying to, most of the people that, with maybe 12, 15 years of experience, you expect them to know how to make presentation. I think for some of us, we just assume, is it not to just put slides together and come in front of people? And that's one of the greatest mistakes, When coming up with this topic, I remember sharing with you about two people that we had placed in senior executive management, let me just say, senior executive management in two different organizations. And one of the reasons that they sent both of them out of the different organization was part of the communication and presentation skill. Imagine somebody with 15 years, 18 years, asking you to come up with presentation, and all you do is to lift up every of those words from the internet, and then you make it look as if it's a book, too wordy. And then when you ask them to now make the presentation, the absence of stage, owning the stage, is always one of the downfall of it, because once you don't start practicing it, it shows in your presentation. And imagine having about 4 candidates getting to the last stage and they're asking you to do presentation. That could be the bane or the end of your presentation. So I will start with these are the agenda in terms of my outline, introduction and icebreaker. Yeah, there's something I always tell professional will get there, because you attend training, you set career path for yourself, but then do you know who you are? Because it starts first from knowing yourself. It starts from self-awareness. If you are self-aware, you know what to align with your goals or with your career objectives. It's not just to come up and just think that, oh, this job is out there, let me just apply for it. Those are things that gradually turn out to be your personal profile. You are given wrong impression, and then your story starts going around that, oh, Rita Babalola cannot do this, Rita Babalola, because it tests your competency as well. So that's why sometimes during performance management, we have the competency framework. You get to maybe 6 or 7 years, they're asking you communication skill. It is not as easy as some of us think, but there are skills that we can learn. And one of them is actually communication and presentation skill. Nobody came into the world and they formed the word in their mouth and begin to just speak or make presentation. Is a skill that we can learn. We'll see how we can learn these skills that is equally very important in our career growth. Okay, so one of the questions that I always ask is, imagine your child has been complaining in school, if you are married and have children, and maybe it could be as a result of his or her learning process or even lunch. And the child keeps on telling you that the teacher is eating his or her lunch. And you get to a PTA meeting, you want to make comment, you want to stand in front of people, everybody is being given mic to say their area of concern. But you have a need, you want to say something about your child's teacher. But because you can't stand, you keep that thing in your mind because you are not able to express yourself. In fact, this presentation, I started doing presentation, came from the proprietors of the school in 2022. She has asked, I think she met with the pastor of the church and they told her that, oh, she needed to meet with me. When I asked her in 2022, she said, oh, being the owner of the school, sometimes at meetings and stuff like that, she's unable to stand up. So she always had the head of school doing most of the presentation. And sometimes at the PTA meeting, they will ask her that they want to know from the proprietress. But honestly, she couldn't do this thing. So unfortunately, also in 2022 December, that was when I had my surgery done. So I couldn't even do more. But in 2023, around February, she passed on. So that was why we were unable to fulfill our need to make impactful presentation. So also imagine being in a meeting and you've prepared in your team, your head of business, your head of department has made wonderful presentation, shadow presentation before you left for head office. And he or she got to head office and they started sneezing, started having developed feverish condition. And they were like, this person cannot make presentation. Okay, Bidemi, please take up the presentation. And you begin to wonder, how can you make presentation? It's as bad as that. So sometimes we need to prepare ourselves. We need to be handy about it. Impromptu, it's skills that we can actually learn. Okay, so this is my icebreaker for you guys, and I want us to look at it critically. A monk who was confronted by a soldier while he was walking down a road in pre-revolutionary Russia. We know during the Russian-American Cold War, there's always attention about security at the border post. And then the soldier, saw a monk walking down the road. That curiosity of where is this person coming from? Where is he going? And then the soldier aimed his gun at the monk and said, who are you? Where are you going? Why are you going there? So this is a question I always pose for most of my presentation, especially for senior executive. So you've moved from one job role, job function, job title, and then you are unable to decipher where you are really going. You leave your planning to chance. So on face, the monk calmly replied, how much do they pay you? Somehow surprised, the soldier replied, let's say 25,000 naira a month. And then the monk paused and then they deeply said, I have a proposal for you. If I pay you 50 kopecks or naira, 20, let's say 50,000 naira each month, will you be able to stop me here every day and challenge me to respond to the same 3 questions? So I asked the participants here today, if you know the meaning of this particular slide, can you just unmute yourself and just explain what it means? What do you think the monk was trying to achieve when he replied that, let me pay you double of your money? I need you to critically ask me this question whenever I pass here every day. So please, you can unmute and let us know if you can reasonably analyze this a story from 100 Delicata. He was an excerpt from a Lagos State Business School, Lagos Business School leadership course by my friend. So when she finished, she gave me the manual and I simply love this and I've always been using it for professionals in the course of presentation. Okay, so please, you have the floor. What do you think this story shows or depicts so that we can continue? I want us to say something. What do you think it means to you? The monk has replied, how much do they pay you? Let me pay you double. Just stand in front of this place like a toll post. You must ask me this question every day I pass here. What do you think this story depicts to you? We won't move forward if we don't have anybody unmuting. I need you to explain what you think you understand by this story. Should I start calling names? Should I start calling names? Please, can we have volunteer? Just explain what this particular story depicts for you as a professional. So, Josh, do I have your permission to just call anyone randomly, or somebody will bail the cat out? I'm still waiting. Bidemi Oloko, can you bail us out, Bidemi? I simply love your glasses and I would love to hear your voice. And then I have Olubumi Akinola. Can I have these two people volunteer to explain what the story depicts to them? Bidemi, are you here? This is part of the story, and this is part of engaging presentation. You need to get your audience to participate. So we're already learning the fast rule. So I'll need at least one person to volunteer to explain this particular highlight for us. Shall I play music while we wait for the volunteer to bail us out? So let me look at the chat room. I think some people are shy. I can't unmute. Mr. Deoshun, please unmute. Mr. Deoshun, they want to be unmuted. Bidemi wants to be unmuted. Mr. Deoshun, could you unmute us? Can you unmute her? Sorry, please, who is a co-host there that can unmute her? Abidemi. Bola Joko, can you please unmute Abidemi?
All right, Ma. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Bidemi. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'm still trying to internalize this. I'm still trying to internalize the last sentence. Then I'll wrap it all up in my head. Hopefully, I'm able to do that before we are done with this phase. I hope that's fine.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so any other person that can easily just depict what this means, can you just analyze what this means for us? Just a quick one. It's part of the learning process. You need to get your participant to be able to participate fully. Who will volunteer to just explain? You can read it, please. I need us to move beyond the stage, and I need us to understand the concept of this process, because if you're making presentation, one of the things that you need to know is to get people on board and ensure that they are all hearing you. Okay, so can one volunteer? Can we have volunteers, please? So I'm waiting. Who is bailing the cat out of the... Who is bailing us out? We're waiting for people to bail us out. Mr. Joshua, please, can you bail us out if people are not volunteering? Can we unmute? Can you just unmute and bail us out? Okay. So what this simply means, okay? Do we have somebody that wants to volunteer? Hello?
Hello.
Okay, so you have the floor.
Yeah, good evening, Maddie. Good evening, everybody. The only thing that jumps at me immediately is the fact that even though a rifle is pointed at you, it says that the monk was unfazed and he was asking a question. So for me, I'm like, is that a level of confidence? Is that a level of calm in the midst of crisis, or what is this? That's the only thing I've thought about. I'm still thinking, like my other sister said, that before the end of the session, I'll get to understand the larger import of this story. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So this simply depicts what you and I should do every month, every year, self-assessment of your career growth. This is a month. He was going somewhere. But then somebody is asking, because sometimes in the midst of chaos, in the midst of distraction, in the midst of too many social media channels, you have YouTube, you have LinkedIn, you have Instagram, you have Snapchat, you have TikTok. It's saying, simply saying for every professional out there, do you stop to assess yourself? Do you even know your career path? Have you charted a course of career for yourself in your career trajectory? So simply saying, stop periodically to ask yourself, are you where you should be? It's simply a story of purpose and where you should be in the scheme of things. Because sometimes distraction comes and we see everybody is doing this particular course, data analytics. Let me quickly go for it. You do. Oh, everybody is simply going for certification, is change management system. Oh, let me quickly go for it. At the end of the day, I remember one particular person in our HR beginners class, and she was a chartered accountant. And you see her in customer service certification, you see her in HR, you see her in whatever. It was like too many certificates without the practical experience. So some of us are like that we need to check ourselves and have that self-improvement plan. I have written it down, but do I even follow what I have said? If I'm saying, who are you? Who is Rita Babalola? Who is Mr. Oluyemi? Dr. Oluyemi, pardon. Who is Dr. Oluyemi Adeosun? Where is he going in terms of his career? We know he was in oil and gas. Now he's somewhere else. Is it a planned work, or is it just something like, oh, let me just move on? So for every professional, after today, sit down and do a self-assessment of your career path. Where do you want to be? Where are you going in the next 2 to 3 years? Where is your path? So the monk asking him to double the salary is just, showing that it is highly important for us to do a self-assessment of our profession. Okay, so I'll move on to the main presentation, which is engaging and having presentation skill, impactful presentation skill. Because like I said, it is highly important in our career. You don't just wake one day after 6 years of experience and they ask you to present in management meeting, and then your heart begins to jump out from your heart. You begin to shiver, you begin to have sweaty palms, and then you get there, you begin to stutter. It will not be nice at 8 years of experience. You can't stand in front of crowd to make a meaningful presentation. So I enjoy everyone here. After today, go online and watch videos. Go online and impart your presentation skill. So one of the purpose of we making impactful presentation at meeting is it also helps our career path. It also helps our career. It helps our career trajectory. It also captures attention and interest. Imagine being at a management meeting where you have the senior executives, and then maybe one of the head of the department was asked to make presentation, and then he took ill, and you've been left to be that mandate to do the presentation. And at the end of the day, you did it so well that everybody will start commenting you. You've already given yourself credibility. You've already given yourself visibility. Let's assume you were the assistant. But because you've done something wonderful, they never expected you to make the presentation. Impromptu. We've been at meetings where something will just come up and just say, oh, Mr. Bidemi, do you know what can happen? Can you make this presentation? You won't start scrapping for the door and wondering how you could do it. So sometimes also when we're able to make impactful presentation, we build credibility, we build authenticity for our career. Your resume becomes more positively minded in terms of what you have been able to cover, even in short space of time. Another thing is when you make a presentation, you have the, we say, begin with the end in mind. What is the outcome of this presentation all about? What do you want people to know you for in the course of the meeting? I was in a bank last Saturday or last weekend, and I think there were up more than 100 people, and they were making presentation strategies. They asked them to look at the banking industry, global industry, and some of them had never made presentation. So 3 of us were called in to take their presentation from different aspects of life. And some did very well, while some, at whatever it is, they were asking, okay, can the assistant step up to make the presentation? Because some of them could not make that presentation. So presenting impactfully also means that you're able to communicate your point. You don't get silent. You don't just keep on muted where you cannot give power to your voice. Give power to your voice. Start from now, even at 5 years experience. And my banking career, honestly, one of the things that stood out for me was the visibility. I can talk when we want to make presentation. People tell, oh, you make good presentation. Honestly, I never went for a training for presentation skills, but I know in the bank we were exposed early enough in our careers, 3 years, 4 years, They'll tell you to go and make presentation, come and defend your budget, because I was in business development. So could it be that you are here today, you are asked to make presentation? So what are the highlights? What are the things that you must understand? It is not to stand up in front of people. When we say stage can be in front of your senior executive. It could also be a unit meeting. It could also be you representing the organization in a larger forum. It could also be in your children's school where you go for conferences. Now they don't call it, they call it conferences, parents teachers conferences. And you want to stand up to make suggestions about the school. This is working in another school, but your voice, you've not learned the power to give voice to what you want to say. And then you swallow everything. You've written it down. You just want the ability to be able to stand up. So if this has ever happened to you in the course of your nurturing your children from kindergarten, elementary, primary, and secondary school, where you want to talk, but honestly, that talk is not coming out from your voice. Have you had that kind of experience? Let's put comments there. Have you been wishing that you'll be able to make presentation? Have you gotten to the point where you are shy and sometimes you feel disappointed in yourself? Please, let's put comment there. Have you gotten to the position where you want to make presentation, nobody is coming out? You know, when I started, my children started primary school, you know, there will be some occasions where the teachers will give them microphone. You know, they would have crammed some things and then they want the children to come forward and make presentation. Some will be fantastic. While for others, they will just hold the mic and be turning their head, and then maybe the teacher will draw them in and want to make them talk. They will be prompting them to say, oh, say one thing, say something. If you can make presentation, have you ever seen where children, when they ask them to make concert and they've prepared, they've done a wonderful rehearsal, and then one of the children will get there and forget his or her line? It is like that for you and I. So if you can drop on the chat room if you have been able to make a presentation impromptu, let me see so that I will know how we can talk about it. Okay, so I can see identity. Yes, I can identify with it. Thank you, Olama, Ijoma. Yes, you get there, you can't talk. I've been in situations where they will ask me to make presentation. Honestly, I would have crammed, I would have known everything. But when I get there on one occasion, honestly, the word will just disappear. You'll now be looking for that one cue that you need. Oh, what is in this place? What can I do? But going through the course of this, honestly, you will see that it is as simple as ABC, but it takes practice. Okay, so let's move on. Thank you for those responding. Thank you so much. Yes, we've all been in that occasion. William Seguru said, yes, I have. I have. Peace Francis, yes, I have. And there's nothing more painful when you have something to say and you deny yourself the strength of your voice. So we say, speak up, speak out, speak out, speak out, and say something. So what are we talking about? Understanding your audience. The first point of it is identification of the audience that you have. When making presentation, one of the things that you need to know is to highlight your audience. Who are they? Where are they from? What do they need from this presentation, just like today? What kind of language do they speak? When I mean language, I don't mean talking about our main three cultural languages like Igbo, Hausa. No, it means that what do they understand in terms of their language? How do you want to communicate? Do you get to, you know, some, I remember when one of the churches I went for, and it says, oh, there is a difference is when you go to churches in Ikoyi and then churches on some outskirts of the mainland. And when they are saying, oh, draw your prayer point, some people will be shouting and then you'll be at the top of their voices. But then you go to some churches and you are just saying, God, please help me. That's my business. But then for some, you just say, you know, you begin to wonder what it is. So you have to look at the audience. And he said when he got there, he realized that it wasn't what he was planning. First of all, he removed his suit and was like, oh, are these people going to just go like this? No, let me let them sweat it out. They were big men with some with physiological body parts that I don't want to mention. And then he says, no, they must sweat it out. Some of them have not done exercises in ages. And you know, those tough prayer points when you go to Mountain of Fire and ministry, where you begin to pray fervently, sweat will be coming out from you. You hold on to somebody and somebody's like, they want to cut your hands. Okay, so that is, you have to know who your audience are. What do they represent in terms of your demographics? What is their pain problem? I remember telling the first presentation I did the class we did on public speaking. And I was telling somebody that imagine you go to the East and you want to make presentation and you went to go and use Holy Mary, the Mary, mother of Jesus, and they are saying, oh, why do Catholics venerate Mary? Why do they have why do they have symbols? Why do they have this icon? Honestly, you've lost the crowd, especially when it is the Eastern part, because majorly, what do they have in terms of denomination? It's more Catholic. So going there to be saying, oh, you want to use an example, and you went to go and use Mary, Jesus, why do they do rosary? Why did they do this? You're already condemning them. And your audience is from the Eastern part. You've lost them. There's a disconnection already. I don't know if you, I think it was just last week, there was a lady that did very well in secondary school. And they said, I think it was Foundation of Ike Imokwede. They wanted to give to the best student. They wanted to give her an award. And then the MD stretched out his hand to shake the recipient of the award, a fervent Muslim. The young girl refused to shake hands, and there was hush in the audience. So those are things you just want to save yourself from embarrassment. I've also been on stage. In fact, this last one in the bank, where a Muslim sometimes when they are very religious, they have this black thing to show that they practice, they go to mosque every day. I've forgotten myself. During the course of the award, he did very well. I brought out my hand too, and he declined it. For some people, you get startled. You may feel, what is wrong with this person? But culturally, when you're making presentation, you need to learn it. I don't want also for what we call an IT logistic company. Sometimes you go on the island, and they have I think it was in Abuja. So those in Abuja came from Borno, the northern part of the country, and they were telling us that you can't fix anything for Friday. You can't fix any meeting for Friday. You'll just be on your own. So those are things that we need to learn. Or you get to a political gathering, and you're condemning politicians, that they are rogues, they are whatever it is. What do you think will happen in the hall? There'll be a hush sound. There'll be sounds. Everybody will get distracted because they will know, where are you coming from? How can you be condemning them? So you have to know who your audience are, the demographics, the income level. Who are they? What kind of presentation would you be making so that you don't get disconnected? Honestly, we need to do more about that. You have to understand your target audience. How do they communicate? The topic you want to do or facilitate, how relevant is it to the audience? How respectfully has it been given or will be given? Those are things you need to look at. Just look at where I remember when they wanted to do Most Beautiful Girl in Nigeria pageant, and one of the religious sects in the country insisted that no, they would not have it in Nigeria. They didn't eventually. So coming out there to make presentation, you need to know your audience and study them so that your message will not be disconnected. It may not resonate with them. So whatever outline you have, make sure your presentation is aligning to the interest. So what to don't come out there and do a message in the wrong connection of people or in the wrong crowd. You will not engage your people. So importance of audience analysis. Why do we do audience analysis? We said it in many considerations. It is also for you to be able to know what to say out there. And one of the ways that you can analyze your audience is to conduct research. Sometimes presentation, you ask them, what are the target audience? I have a presentation I'm giving December 11. In fact, most of the time, they don't even know what they want. It is you, the trainer or the facilitator, that will be getting them to understand what they want from you. If they want a relatively youthful audience, there are some things in terms of attention span for adults or young adults. You can't do training and tell them from morning till night. You have to find ways to engage them. You have to find ways to connect with them. So when you build a rough estimate of your audience, it will give you inroad into what to talk about, their interest, so that you don't miss yarn, like we say in our local palace. Don't go there and go and say something that will disrupt the whole system. The organizer have called you thinking that you have that professionalism in you, and then you go and cause a catastrophe for them because you went to use the wrong word, talking about Muhammad. There's some sensitive things that you yourself as a speaker, you know how to avoid. Then you also could ask them, okay, proud speakers, what did they do? How did they analyze this audience? Has anything changed? like the one I was talking about for December 11, honestly, I was the one practically just pointing out what their target audience is. They joined professional with business owner, they joined so many retirees. So it was like 3 sets of audience. How do you want to do that? So I told them that I won't be the only one to speak. Let's turn it into a panel session. So each of the speakers will have maybe like a 10, 15 minutes conversation, and then we could go into the panel session. So because you can't just, you have to know the crowd that you want to interact with. Imagine doing a presentation in a secondary school too, and you are going to be using those big, big English. In the course of using big, big English, you go and use synonyms that do not even match your words. So we need to be guided in knowing that audience analysis is one of the critical things that you must do. Okay, so another way that you can make impactful presentation, this is the act of engagement, the act of making impactful presentation, whether as a speaking skill or whether as a presentation skill. You need to use a story. One of the ways you can get people like stories a lot. They just want to listen. Once upon a time like this, if you start like this, you get people that they will go with your presentation. I was sharing something with Dr. Adeosun earlier this afternoon. I remember my daughter while he was in secondary school, and they asked them to make presentation in the class. And I told her that, you know what, everybody will come in front to make presentation. They come in front of the audience, parents basically, and then in the school hall. And people will come, they will sit them together, all together. And they will get to the front of the podium. And that's when they will introduce themselves and the topic. I told my daughter, don't do that. That is just basic. I said, where you are, start with statistics. It was on water. And then she started with, oh, the United Nations says that blah, 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 number of people do not have access to water. From right there, every head turned, because this was a departure from the normal one. Go in front of the podium and start introducing yourself. So see that skill that, oh, who is this person? Has already like gotten them hooked to what she wanted to say. So there are ways that you can get attached to your audience. I mean, get connected, build rapport easily. And one of the things is also knowing how to structure your presentation. It's a must. Don't join everything together. Like now, I started with storytelling now. So definitely I've moved beyond the target audience, identifying your audience, which is one of the critical things that you need to know when making impactful presentation. The other one is also using your voice, projecting, putting inflection. Okay, so let me tell you this story. When I finished from university, it was the days of when we didn't have GSM or mobile global system for mobile technology. And NTA wanted to move from public space to privatization. I don't know if you remember this lady, Anna Zodo. Yeah, I can't remember her first name, but she was a popular presenter on NTA to Channel 5. It was during that process. Honestly, I didn't even know any clue to public speaking there. But I applied. I got to the second stage. From second stage, I couldn't proceed to the third stage. But the thing there is, it was a wonderful learning experience for me. Me with my local accent, my local whatever, people are still telling me, Richard, you make wonderful presentation. I don't see myself like that. So people tell, oh, you make whatever it is. But it's a skill gradually that you need to begin to develop. Don't wait until it's absolutely necessary. Get to the point where you are standing in front of a mirror. You are making presentation. One of the HR mentor that I look up to in the HR space was telling me, oh, there was a unique celebration for employers, I think last week, Friday. And she said, Rita, could you believe it that this talk that I gave, it took me 3 weeks. I started practicing it. I was wondering, I said 3 weeks. She said yes, because she doesn't want to get there and get stuttered or get surprised. So people just think that, oh, let me just do my slide and get there. No, you have to learn how to befriend your notes, befriend your slides, know how to come up and interject with small stories, know how to talk. I've also been embarrassed somewhere where I couldn't be able to talk in primary school. We went for a presentation, and honestly, I got there, I could not even say much. And I was supposed to be the head speaker of a debating stuff. So those are early exposures that you need to put out there for yourself. You just have to learn that storytelling is an easy way to get connected with your audience. Having a simple understanding that having a meaningful understanding, having a meaningful understanding of the storytelling. Don't go there and tell story somebody else know, and then you are also lying about it. Don't get there. because some people are ready to bring you down. I will write some things on LinkedIn, and somebody will come to my DM and challenge me. So it got to a point on excuse me. It got to a point I became friends with the person. I said, sir, you can also put up your words there. Don't come to my DM. Just put it out there so that we can learn from your stories. Emphasis is on also knowing how to project your voice. Don't get there and your energy level is low. You will lose your audience from day one or beginning of the presentation. So if you look at it, what stories can you tell? Some call it anecdotes. They are stories, short stories that be truthful about it, because somebody is there to just pump your stories. So be able to say stories that people can connect to. Once you start with that story, you get the best of it. The analogy I used, that I said, I got there, my head of department, we had practiced the presentation. It was on a credit approval. And all of a sudden, my boss got to head office and then he started shivering. Oh my God. They said, oh, Rita, step in. I didn't know what to do. And then my group head said, okay, you know what? You'll be practicing in the car. Just be reading out. You were there when he was making all those shadow rehearsals and things. I said, yes, but I wasn't listening with a view to make the presentation. I wish I'd gone in another car, because this my boss can talk for Africa. As customers were calling in, all those things that I should learn during the course of the journey to the head office, I simply lost myself. But what am I bringing out here? We must learn how to structure our presentation. Nobody develops speaking skill just like that. You need to be confident of yourself. So look at these stories. They call them storyboard. They are stories that when you start, you wrap your story around them. Why do we always have this? I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation. That wasn't the old speech of Martin Luther King in 1963. It wasn't. These are storyboard. He practically points to something that while he was trying to sell hope to the American people, he said something that people could resonate. When he's color of the skin, look at when he did it in 1963. Look at when Obama became the president of the United States. So most times when you are saying stories, you connect some things that people would not forget. I remember May this year, I think the HR Foundry was doing an anniversary, and towards the end, we were supposed to do a closing remark. And our mentor said, no, you know what? Don't say, I don't want to come out in the public. Just let it be Rita and the rest of the crew. But by the time we got there, we just felt that there's no way we would not practically highlight what you have done among ourselves. Let's even thank you for pushing yourself out there. And then I was chosen to be the one to make the closing remark. And I started with her name. What is, okay, thank you for everybody for coming here. It was an impromptu because I never even thought I was going to give it. Then imagine having almost, I think we were more than 300 that day or 200. So when I started with the initials of her name. So one beautiful thing when you're making presentation, find a story to resonate and look for an acronym or something that people will remember. I started with T. So we're going to call a personality using the letters in her name. I started with T. What do you think is? T is trustworthiness. A, adaptability. R, integrity or innovation. You know, by the time you come up, people will want to listen. Let's assume, because they were all talking then. But immediately I started talking, there was a silence. The atmosphere became less confused. Everybody kept quiet because they wanted to know what's the next point. What's the next point? So, making presentation will also demand that from you. Look for a wrap-up message that you can do. Remember when JF Kennedy was coming up with his inaugural speech? Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. People didn't remember anything about that speech again. It was ask not what, even in Nigeria, we still use it here. It's still relevant. It's still relevant everywhere. So those are storyboard that you can use. Look for an acronym on what you're doing. Look for what will resonate. You can come up with aspire, astonish, but it's the same whatever it is you're giving your message. But people will remember aspire, astonish. I'm just using that. Those are storyboards that you can connect your story with. Even if they don't remember the course of your presentation, they will remember if you want to give an account of your message or your presentation. They will remember AA, aspire and astonish. So for every presentation, look for that cue in there that can make your story get connected easily. You yourself will easily connect to your audience. Who remembers Mahatma Gandhi, the Indian that did not put in any bit of militancy in the quest to get independence for India? We all know he was a peaceful person. He says, be the change you wish to see in the world. For some people then, during that time, they will remember the message. So always look for a storyboard. So I'm going to show a small video for us. I don't know if we'll be able to connect with it. I want you to listen to it and have a bit of a suggestion. This presentation is just about 20 slides. So I'm sure we'll finish in ample time of 1 hour. So ask yourself, if you watch this story, how do people connect to people easily? So this was done during, I don't know, during tribute to Abat Wikwe some time ago in February or in March, when they wanted Segun Agbaje and some others to give tribute to Abat. How come is Segun Agbaje's presentation that resonates the most? What did he use? What certain words did he use? So let me minimize my slide. Let's see it. I think I need to, sorry, let me get it out here. Okay, so I'm going to disconnect my share. Pardon me, I just want you to get the full impact of the story. Okay. Because we need to also practicalize what we see people do. So if you have picked up anything, can you drop words in the chat room? Let's see what you have learned. Please drop something in the chat room. What have you gained in just this few less than 10 slides of presentation now? What do you think you've gained? What has changed? What did you pick up from this small or short presentation? So you can't learn public speaking in 1 hour that I'm going to do. There's a whole lot because this class itself is a six session class. A 6-section class. So we are just doing an average one so that people can even understand the fundamentals of public speaking. Thank you, Olama. You seem to be the most vocal. Yes, I can see people dropping in their comments. I'm going to play the video. Then you tell me what resonates with you from that video, please. Sorry, the internet is a bit slow. You can still drop in what you have learned, what you have gained in here. The video is trying to come on. I would minimize my stuff so that we can listen to it. So please, we will drop, even if you don't want to talk, you'll drop in a comment when you listen to this. Can we hear him?
Yes, we can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, can you hear the video?
No, we cannot.
Okay, you can't hear the video. Let me try to play it and see. There's a place we go to. I'm coming. Under the Zoom. It was the day that tributes were being made to the former MD and CEO of Access Bank. If you go on the line, on the internet right now, his views among all the other people that spoke has the highest view. And what was he using? He was using story and anecdote to be able to communicate. He was like, oh, when Ike and himself resumed in the bank, they fought furiously, but never poorly. Harvard was a credit analyst. By the time you start hearing those kind of words, you want to listen. And people that were mourning that some were shedding tears, they started laughing. But does it mean that they don't respect Abath? No. It was the way he was using those figures of speech to make impact in his presentation. Albert was a credit analyst. That means that it is the peak, the lion of the mountain. In terms of his experience and knowledge, he was at that peak. A credit analyst. That means that if you think you are a good credit analyst in the bank, there's somebody that can teach you because he's a better version of an analyst, a credit analyst. Then he said something about, why would a guy be so concerned about red? Who drives a red Golf? Because most times it will be ladies that will always like to have red color in their, red cars. Who drives a red car? Oh, the bank sent us, when you get to a certain level, please listen to it. It's one of my epic movie for public speaking. Oh, we get to a certain level, both Herbert and I, we were both, we were all made executive directors in the bank on the same day. He says, mistake number one. See the way he was inflexing his presentation, because what then happened, I'm using his word because it's like, it's always ringing in my ears. Mistake number one, because what then happened is the bank will send us on to go for master's program in Kellogg's. Ike and Albert returned and said they wanted to own a bank, but I decided to stay put in GT Bank. And I told myself I will run a better bank than both of them. So the audience were laughing. So those are the part that people didn't know about Ike. Sorry, Herbert. But what am I trying to say is making your presentation, building rapport and connection is quite easy. But most of us are due to the part of, let me quickly make this presentation, let me quickly go. Make impactful presentation at any level that you are in your career, so that at the end of the day, you become more visible. They ask you to do some presentation on your own. And then the level of growth in your career, even in your organization, begins to be like trajectory, moving higher, moving faster. Because I remember when I was in the bank, really, group head, they'll call some people to come and make presentation for them. But for me, I struggled with slides, the aesthetic in my slides. Or come and tell me to present, I will talk it out. But in doing arrangement, doing the arrangement, the font size, everything has to match. It got to the point the bank gave us font size and the font type. So your presentation too must be neat. You see some presentations like this, you'll be wondering, is it machine that did this or a technological whatever app that did this? Because they are well aligned. If you see the presentation, honestly, you'll see that you just want to know who has done this beautiful presentation. That was what happened last week. In fact, I had to take 2 of my employees with me to the presentation for the bank. I wanted them to learn. Don't be like it is just what an organization is doing. So sometimes you need to go out of your comfort zone. So how do you build rapport? How do you make them connected to your presentation? I've said it before, storytelling. Build rapport with storytelling. Once you come in on stage, don't do the usual, come outside, my name is Rita Babalola, I'm from commercial banking, I am the lead consultant. No, start with statistics of something and then you get there. Now I want to make my presentation, having given you the statistics behind my presentation. You've already gained confidence. You've already wowed them because you didn't come up with the typical run down the mill kind of presentation. Name, my outline, my presentation will take this from the introduction to the last part. In fact, if I was able to, I wanted to bring my last child, one of what the things that we do at home. So then the focus on your key message. Use a wrap, highlighting key messages to grasp your audience attention. Acronym, you look at the position or the pain problem, the response, then you go back to that same point so that they will remember. I saw online by Grace Lee, one of the career coach I follow. She was talking about this acronym, the pain, what is the issue, then your response to it, and then you go back to the pain point again, just to reiterate for emphasis, so that you don't lose guide of the presentation itself. Adults find it hard to learn. So once you build a level of momentum, high energy, they will listen. Imagine me coming in and say, okay, I want to make impactful presentation. And Dr. Adesha, please, madam, can you speak up? By the time it's the 3rd one, the 4th one, the 5th one, you lose interest. So you must be able to bring energy and positivity to your presentation. For most of us, we have it, but it's just that we've not put ourselves out there to try ourselves out. Get in front of your family members, make presentation. If it could be something you just saw online. There's this slide, what do you call it? The link, I think is shared shared PDF or something. Go there. There are presentations that you can just lift and practice it on your own. Stand in front of your mirror, record it. Tell your children to record, or tell your friends to record you in the office. Play it yourself. And that's how you build competence. And then using clear, concise language. Don't get there and be using big grammar. So, but then study your audience. An audience of professionals that are researchers like Dr. Adeosun, they will be expecting big words, abstract, summary. They will refer to time past presentations or articles or journals. But imagine coming to an HR field, right, where we are here now, and it's talking research, something article, something like 2024 or 2021 page. We will lose interest. So you must have to engage your audience with clarity, conciseness. We call it the 5 C's of communication. That's the clarity. Your message must be clear. It must not be diluted. Don't talk about presentation skill now, and I'm talking about football. The problem in Nigeria, you've joined it in. So be careful with what you use as stories and storyboard, because if it become highly potential political message, they will get disconnected, because those in favor, those against, there will be a fallout of arguments. And then at the end of the day, what you thought you wanted to achieve will be lost. So your message should also be concise. Don't boil down to people with too many messages. Like now, I just did 20 slides. 20 slides is because they are headers, subtitles. Otherwise, it would have been less, because it's just for something for me to speak about. Short, concise message of presentation skill. Then the correctness is the one I say, any part of your slide, please let it be accurately correct. Let it be correct to one story. Don't go and do a story that somebody already knows the full story, because when you get there, you lose credibility. Even if it was just a minute or two bits of it that you use, they will discard all you have said about that presentation. Then completeness. Make sure there is a call to action. What are they supposed to do? Oh, final tips and take away. What is the summary of your message? Make sure you analyze this and summarize it at the end. And then the courtesy, that's the 5th one. Sorry. The 5th one. So the 5th one is telling us about courtesy, respecting the view of other people. The one I use, the Catholic Church, and then the one I use, the Prophet Muhammad. So learn how to differentiate this so that you don't bring up political pressure on yourself. And then so these are how to make impactful presentation. So I just stated 10. It could be in different dimensions. So number 1, just like any skill, speaking and presentation skill can be learned, can be developed. I don't know who has watched the King's Speech movie, where I think the king that was supposed to be enthroned in Britain, the man was stammering. He was a stammerer. He stutters a lot. He couldn't come out in front of his people during the World War to give speech. Bless the wives that are here. She decided to no, nobody's going to take the ring, the position, the title, the privilege from my husband, even though he was a stutterer. People were waiting for, I don't know if you've watched the film. Let's see you put the chat. Let's just see. Have you watched that King's movie? What did he remind you of? The power of being able to do anything.
Tomorrow, baby.
So you need to know how to work with your voice. You need to be able to match it. The King's Speech, they got a voice coach to start telling him what not he should not smoke. He should be able to do some exercise to bring strength to his diaphragm. So it's actually something that we need to learn. Expand your vocabulary by reading for leisure. I was talking to somebody yesterday on Saturday that, I wanted to charge some on fee or something, and I sent it to some friends of mine. And when we were talking, and I was like, oh, ma, but you do a good presentation. I said, I don't even know, but I've always been told that I do good presentation. Even in my university, the last day when we were supposed to defend projects, everybody was tired. They moved us to day 2. I was supposed to be maybe number 4 or number 5 in day 2, but they were able to finish earlier. And then the lecturer decided to move about 5 or 7 people from day 2. So they won. They were already exhausted, but I think they wanted to have an early start and reduce the number of people that were making presentation. Honestly, by the time I stood in front of them, they never heard me talk. By the time I stood in front of them, most of the lecturers that were sleeping, they woke up and they were surprised that I could talk this length, that I should come and be a lecturer assistant. I should start with that I said, that's not my career path. But because I like to read. So reading for leisure is a must if you want to be a good presenter. If you want to own the stage, you just need to read. Reading expand your vocabulary. Reading will just, you are talking. Honestly, I wasn't the one that prepared most of this slide. It was from previous courses. I just put them together today and see me making presentation because it is what I repeatedly do. You know, when you say excellence is what we repeatedly do by Aristotle. So once you begin to read, it will expand your words. Sometimes I use some words I don't even know the meaning, but it will go with the sentence because reading was second skin to me. I didn't know how to be idle. Even when we didn't have money when I was growing up, my dad would still make allowance for me to have money. You know, then girls used to read Mills and Boom, M&B, but I will read. So read to expand your vocabulary because when you are talking, it is those residue of words that will keep on. You don't say, let me cram the line when you're not a small child. But it is the constant reading, the expansion of your vocabulary that will expand the kind of word and choice of word you use. Nobody is using a voice prompt for me to say, okay, this is a prompter. Oh, this is the next line. No. If they take like now and they say, oh, the slide couldn't come up, I'll still be able to talk. I may not go according to the headers. That is because we're what we repeatedly do. So number two, make it about your audience, not about you. Don't come with a view that I want to impress. Honestly, when you come and want to make presentations, you want to impress them, you want to do this. That is when you get scared. And then scared. And then you begin to wonder, how would they perceive me? How would I do it? Would I make mistake? How would they see me? You begin to get stage fright. But when you make it about your audience knowing about you, it gives you a certain level of postures and confidence. Then one of the things I always tell people is visualize yourself as a confident speaker. There's nothing soaking up in any presentation. Oh, Bimpe, I can do it. Bimpe, you will do it. Bimpe, you will have a fantastic presentation today. You're talking to yourself. Bimpe, no, everyone will clap for me today. Everyone will learn what they need to learn. They will know. You know, when we used to say begin with the end in mind. So visualize success for yourself. The next one is also know your stuff. When you're coming down there, the knowledge you have on the topic you want to talk about says a lot about you. Don't come out there and give fake presentation. Aspire to aspire? That is different from visualizing yourself as a confident speaker because you take action. When you are doing aspire to aspire is a different thing. You are just waiting down for something miraculous to happen. Be the lion of the mountain. Be the peak of the knowledge so that when they're asking you questions, you don't get frightened. You don't lose balance. You don't lose focus because you need to also give room for people to answer the question. So I come up with learn to befriend your slide, learn to befriend your notes. Before then, you have read it like 3 or 4 times. Print it out if you are somebody that likes hard copy. Put it on your iPad. Read. Don't get there and let it be your first time of presenting. If you are not a very good presenter, you need to befriend your slide. Know where slide 10 is. Like I was telling Dr. Adeosun earlier today, I said, oh, that video of Segun Agbaje was in slide 12 because I was adjusting and trying to make the presentation. And one thing, if you have knowledge, it will boost your confidence on the stage. And then even your audience will have confidence in what you are saying. They want to listen. Then the next one is pump up your energy. Don't go there with low energy. You know, when you're, please speak up, please speak up, please speak up, you get tired. And look at what I wrote there. A ball mind never learns. So when you come there and you're talking, the energy level is low. You are a ball there. Nobody wants to, they'll just pretend they are listening. Some are with their phone, fiddling with it. Then I've made mention of the fact, tell stories. If you want to communicate and build rapport easily, tell stories from beginning. Then practice makes permanent. They say practice makes perfect. No, practice makes permanent because you will remember. There's nothing as in perfect presentation, but there's something that you can do. Habitual and unconscious competence will begin to form. As you do it, you just say, some people say, oh, I can sweep with the left hand, but meanwhile they are right-handed. Or maybe because they began to sweep with left, then it becomes part and parcel of them. So practice, I've said this, record, listen to videos, pay for knowledge. Do something to increase your level of competence. Then know your audience is part of the thing I've said. Their demographic, what's their culture? How do you want to personalize the message to suit the audience? Then when you stumble sometimes at a bigger forum, don't apologize. There are several times, sometimes I will ask myself, I will ask myself that, sorry, did they catch something on when I said that I made a mistake there? But I will continue as if nothing happened, because believe me, some people will not even notice it. Some will notice and come to meet you at the end of the session. But don't lose your composure when you are presenting on the stage and you forget something or you stumbled on something. Move on as if it never happened. Don't cause attention to yourself. Because once you cause attention to, oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't say, I'm sorry, and it becomes like 3, 4, 5, 6. You lose credibility in front of people. And then dress confidently. Design the outcome through your outfit. Let your outfit, complement your poise, your posture, your presence, your confidence and charm. Just owning the stage. And once you want to do owning the stage, if you're afraid, move around the audience. Move around the position of the podium. Sometimes I hold a pen, you know, those pens that have like this flip, and then you can be pressing it. Fela Brote said when he started, he usually hold a matchbox, as in a stick, a matchstick. Some people want to hold something. I hold a pen when I start. It's not easy to stand in front of people, honestly. So, but you just have to develop the competence by practicing. Okay, so we're almost coming to an end. So your message must have an introduction, must have the body, must have the conclusion. Whatever it is, sometimes you can use subtitle in slide to differentiate one module or what outline from the other. You saw the way I did mine with the blue one, engaging the other, so that you know that, oh, I have moved on. That's what we call a transition. So some people just start from beginning to the end. What topic are we doing today? Making an impactful presentation. So how do we want people to connect to us? Number one, know your audience. Know the people you want to put the message out for. Then also research the content of what you are presenting. Don't just assume that, oh, because Rita Babalola said this, you want to do that. No, it's taking years of practice. If you work in big organization, like I was telling one of us here, it gives you level of intelligence and participation holding the stage, because you do it all the time. You don't have anything to say you want to reject a position that has been given to you because you can't make presentation. Then you get to the point of preparing for questions. How well do you prepare for questions? You know, those questions that at the end of the day, you'll be praying to God that what happened? How do I answer these questions that I don't even know of? Prepare and anticipate questions. What kind of question can people ask me? Practice it. Practice responding to questions. Ask yourself some questions and see if it will come out. But if it doesn't, you can always, oh, let's have one of the audience answer this. You are covering up. People don't know you don't know it. But by time 2 or 3, you will get to know how to project the questions and answer them. And one of the things is always stay calm and composed. You can never run foul of staying calm. Composure is key, no matter the pressure. I had a presentation in Abeokuta for a retreat, and PHN decided to muffle our voice. They said, oh, they'll put on the small gen thing common. And it was supposed to be a day, it was in Abeokuta. I needed to come back to Lagos. And then they said, okay, can you do it without looking at the slide? I said, yes, I will drop the slide with you guys. And I started. But one of the things I just did was, okay, let's turn it to a question and answer. By the time they bring electricity supply, then we can go back to the live slide. And they agreed. So know your onions, know your stuff, because it can be called to question. And then the last one, I think, answering questions with confidence comes from understanding the question. Seek first to understand and to understand. I think it was Stephen Covey or something that said that. Begin as in seek first to understand, or seek first to be understood than to understand. Let them understand you. Active listening, critical creativity, critical listening, and critical what we call it now, critical analysis, critical thinking. Be able to analyze and deconstruct questions to even know what are they even asking. Don't be afraid. And then the final key takeaway from it is key thing about excuse me, key thing about presentation is knowing the audience so that you can tailor your message to meet their needs, to meet their anxiety, to meet their pain problem. Getting them to be conversant with what you're saying, because they may even know what you are saying, but you are saying it in a different way. Nobody has ever broken it down to this level. They will flow with you. You build connection and rapport easily. Then the use of a storyboard, like I said, the one Segun Agbaje was making, who drives a red Golf. He was a credit analyst. We fought furiously, but never poorly. Poorly means that they didn't go and stab themselves at the back. They didn't go and say, let me take this particular stuff and offer this one. They were healthy in their competition, and they all know that. We all know GTB and Access. They used to be like tight then. They want to know more because by the time they merged with Diamond Bank, they became double or more than in terms of GTB size. Then clarity, the clarity part of it. Let your 5 C's speak for you in your presentation. And then the last one, handling questions with confidence. If you don't know it, give it out to the crowd to do. Don't tell them, oh, sorry, I don't know the answer. No. Give it out to other people that are knowledgeable than you. It doesn't mean that you will know everything. Sometimes you just need to know how to put the message out there. So with this, we've come to the logical conclusion of engaging your audience and the art of public speaking with impact. Thank you. So please, you're free to ask questions. I think we have some few moments to ask questions. Dr. Adeosun, I'm done. Thank you so much for the opportunity once again. Today, we are talking about the art of engagement, engaging your audience, the art of public speaking, the art of making impactful presentation, and also gaining critical speaking skills. You have to develop it. Everybody must learn. You must learn it. You must do everything within your power to watch videos, to read. Reading will expand the choice of your words. It will give you all these things that are like synonyms. So you just like my late mom would say, oh, like new generation, if you want to say, God will enlighten your path, we'll say God will illuminate your path. God will give light to your path. It's just the same light, illuminate, envelope. It is just like you are using 3 or 4 words to describe the same thing. What do you still want? God to bless you or light the path. Light your light with the path of God. And then you say, oh, Lord, enlarge my coast. Lord, let my coast be enlarged. Let me get increased. Let me get increased. Multiply my what? Multiply my income. Mantle of increase. You know, when you begin to say those words, it is still the same enlargement we want. But what has happened? You are using different words to say the same message. So thank you very much, sir. That's the last presentation. So I can take questions.
So much, Mrs. Rita Babalola. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, contributions, please raise your hands and we will take it. I already see a question for you, Ma, on the group. Somebody is saying, when can we see a presentation start and end? Please raise your hands also if you want to ask questions or contributions or share experience, we will recognize you.
Okay, so saying a presentation start, remember when I said structure your presentation to introduction, the body, and then the main body of the conversation. That's the introduction, the body, and then you're coming to the last stage. You know, when I said introduction, when I started my presentation, I started with, oh, assuming your daughter has been complaining or your son has been complaining about the teachers, you get to a PTA. That's my introduction. A general overview of why it is critical for you to now to present. Oh, let's assume you had a hand of budget stuff and your boss has been preparing. Unfortunately for you, he got ill and then sent in a sick leave or sick note, and you will now have to make presentation. There's nothing you can do. So those are introduction. So you must know what you are starting with. And that was why I said this is structuring your message. You must start with the introduction, start with the body, and then conclude. Concluding means that you're also drawing like a takeaway, a final tips, a summary. So you can always structure your presentation to just have 3 segments or 3 segments. The intro, the main body that contains all you need to do the presentation. Then the last note, what is the message all about? Like now, we're talking about impactful presentation. See the way I kept on reiterating it that, oh, the art of engagement. Oh, engaging with the audience, the art of speaking and presenting with impact. I kept on emphasizing that so that we will know at any point in time, oh, engaging your audience. I put a subtitle in another way so that you can get it that I've moved on in another question or to another subtopic. Let's see. So look at it now. This particular slide, engaging your audience, building rapport and connection. So I'm telling you, this is a transition. I've moved on to another stage. This was the storyboard. So I look at the way I did it, creating a compelling message, the heart of storytelling. After this, I move straight to storytelling. I move on to the storyboard that I want you to understand when you are making presentation. Then I match it up with the video because I want the emphasis to be there on the message. So this is what you can also do. Try to see understanding your audience. Then the other one, you will know how to create a compelling story. I wanted you to see, the power of your voice. That's my introduction. Get there, and when you are called to give a keynote address like I did in May this year, to come and wrap up a closing remark, I wasn't fidgeting, but I just knew that, okay, let me wrap up her name and use something. So by the time I'm using transition, T, trustworthiness, definitely when I'm talking about it, I know the next one is what? A. My mind is also talking about adaptability, accountability. It can be anything. From there, I move on to high innovation, integrity. So those are things that you can use as storyboard. So the next question, I hope you got my analysis of your question right, or the solution that you wanted to hear. Next question.
So we have some people whose hands are up. Not sure whether it's for questions, comments, or contributions. So I'll take Olama first, Olumide next, and Uncle K in that order. Olama, you can please unmute and share.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Adeosu. Thank you, ma'am. Mrs. Rita Babalola, wonderful presentation. So my question would be riding on the response you gave to the last question, right?
Okay.
I wanted to understand how presentations differs from training in terms of the introduction. Would you say that for training introduction, they should be dynamic the same way you just explained as presentation happens, or would you suggest or advise that they should be structured because they are trainings? I'm saying that because a lot of trainings and trainers are used to facilitators, so to say. They are used to going through a structured training approach with the introduction, objective of the training, what it is, and all that. So I just wanted you to be able to throw more light on that and how it differs from a regular presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, Olama. You know, most people really, what we know ourselves as presenters, trainers, facilitators, there's always a clear difference between the two. But people just think we use them in context of their synonyms. They're not really. Facilitating itself will draw people out from their shell more than training. And when I do training, especially for adults, there is a way we go about it so that you can get them, because when they get bored easily, you cannot tell them to drop their phones. Unlike, oh, you have some trainees that you want to take through a training school program. The organization have an induction or onboarding process. Because they are eager, they are like desperate to have a job, they will listen to you, hook, line, and sinker. But not your professional that you are in the same field and you've been working in the same organization. So a trainer must learn how to also put context into their presentation. And that comes also from learning how to match your presentation. Sometimes if you watch my LinkedIn profile, some of the presentations or trainings that I do, I always put dancing there. We listen to song, we dance around. So I want to pop up their energy again. By the time I'm popping up an energy again, I'm also coming up with a case scenario study. I want them to also be able to think, because those are the things that can get them not bored with your presentation. So most of us just feel that training is, when you analyze their training is, let me just come up with something. But there are ways that people can connect to your message. So if you're also facilitating, find out what the audience want. What is the demographic? What do you want to achieve? There's somebody here on this group, this presentation. We had a training around, I think, October 26th. So it was on a Sunday and Monday. We got there, we had prepared the manual, we had prepared everything. Eventually, it turned to a mini workshop because the MD of the company says, oh, you know what, Rita, I don't want paper. Meanwhile, the HR and I have sat down, we came out with the vacuum in the organization. We've printed the manual, and he says, no, I want it like a workshop. Let's talk about the issues. As we talk, you move to the next one, you move to the next one. Honestly, we didn't, I think it was only once we referred to the manual that we have printed, the bought, and we purchased, and we have charged them. But to him, it was more of context. It was more of practicality. So your presentation must also listen to the people. He's the one that is paying the bill. He's this MD CEO. He says he wanted it in this context. And they were senior executives. There were about 8 of them. He wanted them to understand sales. He wanted them to understand business development as well. So that when the sales team come back with challenges, they will empathize. Because it's not easy to market at this time of the economy right now. We all know what is going on globally. So, but he wanted them to empathize, to have that feeling. And he said, no, I don't want to go through manual. Let's start. And I said, oh, you want a destructured kind of presentation? And that was what we did. So imagine not even knowing anything I was doing. And this man has thrown sand in my gari and was like, let's dish the manual. Let's come practical. And that was how we changed the presentation mode. And we began more of engagement, asking them to form a team, getting them. So those are things that we can use in the context of the body of your message, so that it's not just seen and it's not just like it has lost its synchronization. Thank you. I hope I've been able to do justice to your question, Olamo.
Yes, please. Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Olumide, please.
Okay, good evening, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Adeosun. Thank you very much, Madam Rita. Thank you. That was a wonderful presentation. Okay, my question is around presentation slides. How to develop a wonderful presentation slide. Looking at yours, I noticed some, are there techniques to developing slides that resonate with what you are talking about? Looking at your own, looks wonderful. And I can see some slide you use pictures, pictorial representation of what, and the way you even arrange them are kind of catchy enough to summarize what you want to talk about. But at times you see some presentation slides, they lose even scatter before the person starts talking about it. So are there techniques to developing presentation slides that contribute to what you want to talk about?
Okay, so one thing about it is I've learned is once we get a training topic or facilitation topic or what is it that you want to present, don't rush to start making presentation and feel that you know everything. Go online, ask for outlines.
A training topic.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, so I said don't rush off to just go and make slides and say you know what you need to do. Arrangement matters. The font size, I told you the bank I worked for then said no, there must be a font size, there must be a font type, there must be a font size for headers, there must be a certain color. You don't come in with yellow, blue, green. Choose a color theme that you want so as to get the engagement. I tell people use white. White makes it very catchy. Don't go and copy slides just because you want to copy because it's fine. And then when you are doing the slide as well, the AI has made everything so wonderful, less of a stress for each and every one of us. Just know how to use them. So once you do the arrangement that has to do with the topic outline, how do you want to proceed? Module 1, Module 2, Module 3. It will give you a prompt, and then you can fill up your slides there. Like now, I told you I didn't prepare the slides initially. It was just like today I started filling with the point that I wanted. I deleted some because they were wordy for me. So because I've also been presenting for long, I have an array of slide type that I use. So I told you when I started that there were 2 people, and this is an actual story really, that got dismissed or got the appointment terminated or has to leave in an organization because the first time was like, okay, the MD was not around in the country. By the time he got back, it was like, okay, let me know your first 90 days. I was also disappointed because this is an HR generalist with about 12 or 13 years of experience. And what he gave out was as if you were reading a book. And the MD was like, how do I even start with this? I cannot even differentiate one topic from the other. So learn to use outlines, module outline, to give you like a peaceful transition. Then also, it's not everything that you need to put. I also, when I started, I was also guilty. So that's why I said there's no perfect presenter. I mean, I was guilty as well. Though it may not be in that way, but I also want to put everything. In fact, my slides can be like 50 something. But I've learned also that it has to be concise so that you don't lose people easily. So have an arrange. If you go online, just write what now? Let me say presentation slides in the 21st century. Presentation best of presentation slides in 2023, 2024. It will come out with different versions. But some you have to pay. But because we do training, so sometimes most of those things, we pay for them. So, but people run away from paying for them. And then they've used Canva in such a way that things have changed technologically. People pay, if you want to do presentation, excuse me, and I know that they are also going to assess me. I mean, that kind of informed gathering, I can't but give them the best. I'll probably call an artist. They have those ones that can do canvas. Online, you always, by the time you ask one person, ask this person, they will do justice to it. I couldn't just be sharing some of those information I got from the bank that last week. Honestly, presentation was wow. It was wow. I thought I had arrived, but they made me know that I was still on the tarmac to be developed. I'm still on the tarmac trying to get knowledgeable. So don't think you know it all. So I hope that, I mean, you will be able to get the input of what I wanted you to see. So
Thank
go
you so
online,
much.
yes, and do the arrangement yourself. Don't just be quick to say you want to start with the presentation. Sit down, know what will constitute slide 1, slide 2. So for me, most of these things, I just go online. Image of, I can say image of engagement, you will get it. Image of somebody starting making presentation, you will get it. So it's just copy, paste, copy, paste. And for some, because they've also, their copyright items, you need to pay for them. So, but like I said, because we use it a lot, so tendency is we pay. There's a shy slide that we pay for every year. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that fantastic presentation. It's been loaded. I just want to ask this question. Imagine if someone has actually followed the 5 T's, as you said. Making public presentation can actually make you sometimes go blank, even no matter how much you have prepared. So, what can someone do, even when you have followed the 5 C's and you have prepared, you know your onions, and all of a sudden you get to the stage and you see these butterflies in your tummy. In fact, not butterflies, it's like eagles and birds flying, and you just go blank and you blank out and you have this stage fright. What do you do? How do you handle that?
Okay, I told Mr. Adeosho that that's another part of the training because it's not here. I purposely did not handle stage right here because, like I said earlier, public speaking is not just what you do in one day in a sitting of 1.5, 90 minutes or 60 minutes. You can't get the whole days. This is a section of like when we usually run this program, we do 4 to 5 days of presentation and ask them, 4 to 5 days of session and ask them like maybe 4 hours in a day. Because as you're doing, like I wanted to play the video, we watch like 3 videos. Because part of it, presentation is also active listening, where you get, like I said, when you get rattled or you get stuck, you stumble, how do you react? What are the things you need to do to be able to glide over that moment? So one of the things I use is to go straight to question and answer. Oh, what do you think? Who can ask this question? Honestly, then you get your composure back. Just goes through question and answer. Frequently ask questions. Okay, from the audience, I need you to ask me 3 questions before we proceed. So you're using that moment to gather your energy. And when I was talking about it, I also said from the 10 things I highlighted, I said, where is it? Pump up your energy. Start with a high energy level. I don't know if you can see the slide. I've moved back to how to speak with impact. This part of it, I'm highlighting, start with a high energy level to push positivity and enthusiasm. Once you push it, honestly, you won't even remember yourself again because you'll be vibing with all energy, passion. So when the passion is there and people are directly, you can say, I said, what's your energy as it should be directly proportional to your voice to pitch and intensity. Once you are getting engagement, you are getting question, you feel on top of the world. You won't even have time to start thinking of, is it butterfly? Is it fly? Is it this on your tummy? Your tummy. No, because you are making it about them. You've thrown the question at them. Oh, are there moments where you don't understand this? Beckon on me. I will stop now. Let's take question and answer before I move to the next one. Stylishly, you are also gaining composure. Stylishly, you are building up your energy back. Stylishly, you are trying to remember what's next in your slide. Like I said in Abeokuta, they took a power source. There was no electricity supply for more than 30 minutes. And we had just come back from break. So they were going to say, let's go on break again. So it has to come from question and answer and a bit of the presentation. So that's why we said, know your onions, like you use the word, know your stuff, be a lion of the mountain, at least have an inkling of the presentation topic, so that when moments of truth come up, like PACN trying to challenge you with epileptic supply of electricity, or even it could also be like the slide, maybe you are trying to come on power source field, maybe the, what do you call it now, the projector has an issue, and then it sparks. They didn't come with an alternative to the projector. What would you do? Would that end your presentation? No. So learn how to use question and answer to deflect moments of fidgeting, moments of unsure, when you're unsure of yourself. That's it for me. Move straight to question and answer and get your confidence back. Thank you, Uncle K. Any other one? Like I said, this is a 90-minute session. Any other question? Everywhere is quiet. Any question so that we can call it an end here? Thank you, Chibueze. Very insightful class. Thank you. What's the average number of slides one should have for a presentation?
All right. Thank you so much
Yes.
for those questions.
Okay, so there is a question here, Dr. Adeosun. What's the average number of slides? It depends on what you are presenting. If it's a 3-day program now, you still also need to know the number of slides. That's why I said go for the course outline. Go online, see what will come up. Sometimes there is tautology. So you delete, like I was doing earlier today in the morning. I deleted some slides that already be prepared for me because I felt that they were tautology. So what you see, even in the 20 or 21 slide, there is a thank you note at the end. There is a summary at the end. There is the mode lines. Look at mode outline, there are about 4 plus thank you, that's 5, plus take away, that's 6. So if you take it out, I have just less than 14 slides to do. Do you understand? So if you always get it, it's your presentation will let you know if you've done justice to it. Like I said, I didn't go into the full impact because I just don't know this is a Sunday. People want to get ready for work. I won't bore you because this course is usually a 4-day program, and it's for senior executive, is about a 6-day session for senior executive. So not everything will fit into one because you also need to practicalize your presentation in front of people. So, but the first thing is present in front of your family members, your friends, your colleagues. Get the energy, get the strength to be able to talk. When like I said something about surgery. When I got back, Rome Business School, reached out to me to make presentation. Honestly, I just had to tell them that I was recovering because I would be panting. So you also need to learn how to let your voice project itself properly to get the right energy. So you take water, pause it. You can see sometimes I'll cough because it's not easy to to inflect your voice at a certain decibel, at a certain pitch. You just need to just go all out. And I don't make it about myself when I was doing this presentation. No, I just wanted people to be able to get knowledge. So I'm just taking my time to do it. If I'm in a hall now, like a big stage, I know what I'll do. Like I was asking questions, I'll just bring them to the front. I'll just divide them into teams. Immediately you get their engagement. Let's do competition. The most engaged part will win 2,000 Naira credit. The most engaged person, the most participating member will get this one. Those are things you can wrap up in your presentation and boom, you increase the energy. Then there's a question here. Is there a way to draw out employee who firmly insists that they are introvert and who tend to decline speaking among them? Introduce a knowledge sharing session. Introduce a knowledge sharing section, put them into teams. That's what I do for organization. When they tell me that some people don't want to make presentation, I purposely reduce the size of the group. So I can have a 2-man team. I can have a 3-man team, depending. So there's no way you will not come out and present because you will tell them as the HR that, no, oh, let's read the book. Begin with, maybe the 1-minute manager. It depends on what you want to achieve. So you can ask them to watch videos. Like the one I said in the bank, this strategy of the global landscape and the local banking landscape that's pertain to retail banking. They want all how to search for knowledge. There was some synchronization in the knowledge shared. But the thing is, they all came out with different formats. So if you want to get those ones that are introvert, stylishly divide them into team formation. Team A, like tomorrow now, we're going to do a book review in my organization. It's 2 teams. So, and I told them everyone must do presentation at least 5 minutes. That one person they must all contribute. So it now depends on the team lead to apportion what each and every one of them will present. So those are the ways that you'll be surprised that those introverts, they can do presentation, but nobody gave them that opportunity, or because they are shy. They will think they can't do it. But with time, if you do it periodically, you see the most. I was an introvert. In fact, my dad keeps on saying that he doesn't know what has happened to me, that I could stand in front of people. Before, if I see people and you are like 3 or 4 on the road, in fact, there'll be a way that I'll go and turn. I won't want to stand and pass in front of people. I was that shy. But exigency does happen in terms of business, and then you come out of your shell. So JK, you can do that part of it. Form them into team formation. Let them read a book to review. Let them watch film that has to do. There was this film that I've forgotten the title. This lady that set up an hair relaxer company. I've forgotten the name of the movie. And it's a black, African American film. She started out to make, creams, formulas for hair, styling their hair and things like that. And she became a very noble business entrepreneur. He became an entrepreneur through formulation of hair products. I can't remember the name of that film, but those are things that, in terms of the gap, in terms of the vacuum in your organization, you can always tailor it so that every one of them will have the opportunity to make presentation. Thank you. I think we've come to the end. Dr. Adeosun, you bailing us out.
All right. Thank you so much. Just to say one or two things before I thank our facilitator. I've been a member of Toastmasters International since 2007, 2008, if I'm not mistaken. And I've been a continuous member till today. To show that, and Toastmasters, you can Google it, is about two things: communication and leadership. It's a key skill you must continue to own. The second thing I wanted to say is that, generally speaking, introverts are relatively more knowledgeable than extroverts. They think, they reflect, and they have content. However, extroverts tend to talk before they think, and then think and talk and think, as the case may be. So if you have any introvert on your team, on your project, it is your job to find a way to get them to speak. Because if you don't get them to speak, some of them may find it more comfortable writing than speaking. So depending on what you are doing, if you think you can get them to write out their thoughts, if speaking is not compulsory in that instance, you can also do that. But don't rob your unit, your team, your organization of the very meaningful insights, depth of insights of introverts on your team. Everybody can talk. That's why we have mouth. Some can now talk whether it is necessary or not, and some talk absolutely when it's necessary. Sometimes that necessity include making sure that they should talk. They have to talk, because after all, they talk if they need to anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank most sincerely Mrs. Rita Babalola for doing a yeoman's job tonight. This has been phenomenal, back to back from the very beginning to the end. I'd like to also thank everybody who has contributed, who joined the call from the very beginning and who still stayed on till now. I would like to express our gratitude to you. Please do have a lovely week. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget this recording will be uploaded tonight on the YouTube channel, Oluyemi Adeosun, of course. You can get over 330 HR domain webinars on the channel. Do well to share with your friends, colleagues, and associates. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now, at this intersection, allow us to unmute and thank Rita Babalola for our contributions tonight. You can unmute and say thank you now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
so much, Mrs. Babalola.
Thank
you. Wonderful presentation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful presentation. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for the
We appreciate the
presentation.
opportunity, Dr. Adeosun. Thank you for the privilege.
And thumbs up to your work on LinkedIn.